Hello there. Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Aldrich.
And I'm meteorologist Aaron White, and we've had a little bit of active weather here the last couple of days. Of course, we were tracking some showers and storms building up yesterday afternoon. Eventually got some severe weather. Not tracking any severe weather today, but we got some rain out there
and
to
it's
talk about.
All over the radar today.
Yeah.
But even before we get into your forecast, we're going to take a look back at what exactly happened yesterday.
Yeah,
You're
look
getting
at
a
that.
time-lapse video from Guernsey County Sheriff's Office as strong storms swept through last night in the area. Wow. As you can see, the heavy rain and what looks like a clouds kind of starting to rotate.
Yeah, and we were tracking this here on 10 TV and on 10 TV streaming as that storm was moving through Guernsey County with a tornado warning. You can see there was a well-defined lowering there at the beginning of the time lapse as it was passing over the camera. Definitely, you can see it right there as the time lapse is replaying some heavy rainfall and all that moisture, all the clouds kind of feeding into the thunderstorm. Definitely making for a wild sight. And the National Weather Service did issue a tornado warning for the county. Plenty of tree damage was reported, and the National Weather Service will be surveying parts of Muskingum County, Guernsey, and Noble counties today.
Yeah, but as of right now, we're looking at radar. It's looking a little active, nothing severe as of what we had yesterday, but we're still tracking some storms out there and some light showers. For our area specifically, we might have a couple heavier rain showers move in a little bit later this afternoon, but for the most part, everything you're seeing right now is pretty light. It's a light drizzle, and you might get a little bit heavier rain coming later. So this is around 6 o'clock today. We start to see that little bit more of heavier rain. Again, not really looking at anything too severe for tonight, but this is still going to give some pretty heavy rainfall as we get later into your Saturday and Sunday. That's going to kind of continue until 11, 12 o'clock around midnight tonight, and a little bit of those lingering showers will continue into your Saturday morning. For the most part, we're looking mainly at our southern counties for your Saturday. We're going to still see some showers throughout your Saturday morning. This is around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for your Saturday. Mainly seeing the lower parts of our counties with a little bit of heavier rainfall, but by the time we get in 11, 12, 1 o'clock tomorrow, you might just have an isolated shower or two, but for the most part, you're looking pretty clear, and it's going to be quite nice over the next few days. Besides the fact we do have a big pattern change coming up. Here's our rainfall forecast. So this is the amount of rain we're expecting to see by the time we get into tomorrow at noon. Some counties may see up to an inch of rain. Some might see even a little bit less than that. Anywhere from an inch to an inch and a half, or sorry, a half an inch to an inch of rain. We're not seeing that much rain coming yet, but we do have a chance of having some flooding in some of our lower counties. So just keep that in mind if you do have any flood-prone roads near you, or if you have any flood-prone backyards, that might be something you want to keep an eye on because we will be seeing some rain later tonight. For the most part, current temperatures though looking quite nice in the mid-70s pretty much all over the area, and kind of take advantage of that today because we've got a major heat wave on the way. We're looking at 80 degrees for tomorrow, but we are only on the climb up by the time we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. This is the first time we're actually seeing a stretch of 90s since last month, since May. It's the first time we're seeing them at all in June, and it's gonna be pretty warm out there. So keep that in mind with that heat, and compared to what we're gonna see in the mugginess meter with all that humidity out there, it's gonna make feels like temperatures significantly warmer. By the time we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, low 70s for your dew point, it's going to be uncomfortable. And all that's because of this high pressure system that's kind of bringing in that hot and humid air. And then it just kind of gets stuck over our area over the eastern U.S. And it's going to continue until later parts of your July. And it's going to stay like that over the next few days. Take a look at this. Extreme heat Wednesday, Thursday, and it's going to stay like that up until possibly July 4th and 5th. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We have already issued a weather impact alert for your Wednesday and Thursday afternoons for that high heat coming in. But today, 4 storms today, you are going to be seeing some rain into your later Friday night, into your Saturday morning. But hey, we're dry coming Monday, Tuesday, but it's going to be warm.
Yeah, a bit toasty. Nice to dry out a little bit, but yeah, that's some serious heat. And as we are talking about some extreme heat in our forecast for next week, the heat is already here for actually parts of Europe. And an actual animation recorded on Friday projected high temperatures expected over the next day as large parts of Western Europe are in a grip of a deadly early summer heat wave that has killed dozens, disrupted power supplies, and shut schools and cultural landmarks down.
So global warming has worsened Europe's heat waves in just a few decades. A World Weather Attribution, the WWA group of climate scientists, said an analysis on Friday. A similar heat wave in June of 1976 would have been around a 3.5 degrees Celsius cooler than this one we're seeing right now. Data shows that Europe is the world's fastest warming continent.
And reports coming out of the Netherlands today say the country is issuing their first ever red alert for heat as we head into the weekend. Conditions are expected to remain dangerous as the heat wave continues.
And like we mentioned earlier, that heat targets the U.S. coming up this week. Millions of Americans could face a feels-like temperature in the triple digits, looking like 100. A jet stream is bringing the heat wave across the eastern half of the U.S., and it'll sweep through major Midwest and Mid-South cities by early next week, and then into the Northeast by the time we get into the midweek of next week. Forecasters say the West could possibly get a cool down, but powerful winds might increase fire conditions over in Utah.
And with more on just how extreme heat and humidity can impact our bodies, here's CNN's senior climate writer Laura Pattison with a report.
Everything that's going on with my body made that hard. We're here at the University of South Wales in the UK, and behind me here is an environmental chamber where scientists can control the temperature. And so they're going to crank the temperatures up to about 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And the whole point of this exercise is to see what impact extreme heat has on my body. This on my head is measuring brain blood flow. Here is measuring skin temperature on my leg. They're going to be looking at cognitive functions, like how is my decision making affected by the heat? We need to understand what it's going to be like living in a much hotter world.
Okay, Laura, so you're fully instrumented, you're ready for action, ready for liftoff.
It's 40 degrees now, 20% humidity, and I can really feel it starting to sweat. My face is getting very hot. My skin temperature's gone up by a couple of degrees.
Doing a really, really good job here.
It's 40 degrees Celsius, but it's 85% humidity, and the difference is intense. It's like a sauna in here. This is really, really tough. My hands feel a bit shaky. Everything feels tiring. Even breathing feels weird.
Stop. Great job.
Thank you.
Mission accomplished, so it's not easy. Now, you've got a markedly depressed increase in exercise-induced blood flow to the brain. It's gone from 600 milliliters per minute to 400.
That's really significant.
Which is huge. You're not getting enough fuel into the brain. You're not burning enough fuel to be able to make the right decisions. You would make potentially wrong decisions, rash decisions, and a much larger increase in pressure during exercise. So your heart is working a lot harder, probably about 30% harder, just because of that increase in temperature and humidity. Older patients, you know, this is a big deal for them. And they wouldn't be able to do the simplest tasks, even stand up to get out of a chair. From a cardiovascular perspective, that would just be too demanding.
We're seeing now around the world is this really humid heat that is pushing places to the limits of survivability. We're seeing stronger heat waves, more humid weather, and the impacts on the body are pretty overwhelming.
Turning now back to the extreme damage from those major earthquakes over in Venezuela. Rescuers worked through the early hours of Friday morning to save hundreds of Venezuelans trapped in rubble and find thousands more missing after the two biggest earthquakes in Latin America's modern history smashed areas and around the capital, Caracas. The government did not give a total casualty estimate from the magnitude of around 7.2 and a 7.5 tremors that struck west of Caracas on Wednesday.
And as search and rescue efforts are intensifying in Venezuela, at least 589 people were killed and thousands more are believed to be missing. Christiana Benavides reports from Bogota, Colombia, in Colombia, with a staging area for relief and supplies.
A frantic scene in Venezuela as rescuers dig through the rubble trying to find survivors after two deadly earthquakes rocked communities along the northern coast on Wednesday. The damage is catastrophic. Buildings smashed to the ground, homes ripped apart, and people's lives upended. Among those found alive in the rubble, this man giving a thumbs up from the stretcher. But for others, it's the unthinkable.
Horrible.
With tears in his eyes, this man says, horrible, we have seen way too much. His young nephew and niece were found deceased, and scores of people are still missing. This mother of three says she's desperate. She doesn't know where her son is. 24-year-old gamer Gabriela Suarez was streaming live from her home in the country's capital, Caracas, when the earthquakes happened.
It started getting harder and harder. I could feel the ground moving.
She says her communities, both online and in person, are rallying to try to support the efforts on the ground in Venezuela, where millions were already facing economic instability and lacked steady access to resources like power and clean water before the quakes.
We've been through every single thing I can imagine, and we're still trying to pull through.
The U.S. has promised $150 million in aid, and 2 U.S. Navy ships are on their way to Venezuela as we speak. Now, here in Colombia, 2 relief flights departed during the overnight hours, with more expected later today. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Bogota, Colombia.
And as you heard there, help is coming from all over the globe to Venezuela. This video shows members of Madrid's Emergency and Rescue Unit who arrived in Venezuela on Friday to aid the search for survivors of the deadly earthquakes. A military aircraft carried 40 operatives along with critical resources required in stabilizing collapsed buildings, safely removing debris, and providing medical treatment on the spot. 2 specialized search dogs were sent out to identify living people trapped under the rubble.
And help is also on the way from the U.S. Virginia Task Force 1, an elite search and rescue team, is preparing to help the people of Venezuela. Task Force 1 is based out of Fairfax County, and that's where Sarah Robinson from our sister station, WUSA, has this report.
In a moment's notice, Virginia Task Force 1 can deploy a team capable of cutting through tons of rubble and concrete, finding people trapped after disasters like this one.
We have a tremendous search and rescue capability.
Following the devastating twin earthquakes in Venezuela,
And what they can do is take a very large building and narrow it down to a very small area where that victim likely is.
John Morrison, the public information officer for Fairfax County Fire and Rescue, says Virginia Task Force 1 is preparing to deploy 79 personnel and 6 search dogs. Crew members are armed with 70,000 pounds of heavy braking equipment.
Reinforced concrete structures collapse. Often those victims become deeply entombed in void spaces. And then our rescuers will go in and breach and break that heavy concrete to find that victim.
A 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck just 39 seconds after a 7.2 magnitude foreshock near Caracas.
There's a significant number of collapsed buildings in the city around Caracas, and so that's where we'll likely be focusing.
The task force includes firefighters, physicians, paramedics, structural engineers, and canine handlers.
They're what we call live find dogs. So their job is to sniff out victims in those collapsed reinforced concrete structures.
Then, using sensitive listening devices to pinpoint their location, rescuers breach through concrete to reach those trapped alive.
It's emotional. It is, the ability to take our skill set and bring that anywhere in the world as quickly as we can, and then, impact people that we've had no interaction with in our lives, and positively impact them and their community. It's a tremendous honor.
The team typically deploys for 10 to 14 days, working around the clock to find and rescue survivors.
This is what we train for, and we're anxious to get to work.
Right now, the team is packing up, waiting to hear from officials in Venezuela that the airport runway is clear for landing. Once they get that green light, they will take off and begin their rescue mission. Reporting in Fairfax, I'm Sarah Robinson, WUSA 9.
And we continue to get closer this afternoon to our nation's 250th anniversary, and that means it's time for another look back at how weather has changed our history.
Yeah, and some of the worst weather events in our history didn't just leave destruction behind, they actually changed the way we forecast forever. Today, meteorologist Evan Stewart has a look back at the lessons that led to modern radar and earlier warnings.
Over the past few weeks, we've taken you through the moments when tornadoes changed America. From the devastation of the tri-state tornado, to the breakthroughs in forecasting at Tinker Air Force Base, to the widespread destruction of the 1974 super outbreak. Each of these moments have had one thing in common. We were learning, but we couldn't yet see inside the storm. Today, that has changed. With Doppler radar, we can now detect rotation inside storms, oftentimes before the tornado even forms. And instead of just tracking where storms are, we can see how they're behaving, spotting dangerous signatures like rotation, wind shear, and debris. That means earlier warnings, more accurate forecasts, and more time for you to get to safety. It's technology that's been built on lessons, many decades of lessons, and many of them difficult. We've gone from just watching the storm to truly seeing inside of it. From tragedy to technology to life-saving innovation, it's another way weather has changed America.
And sticking with our weather history, one of the most violent tornado outbreaks in the U.S. history struck in 1974.
Yeah, and actually that outbreak actually impacted some parts of Ohio, and meteorologist Evan Stewart back again to take us 52 years to see how deadly that outbreak accelerated advancement of tornado research.
In April 1974, one of the most violent tornado outbreaks in U.S. history unfolded in just a matter of hours. The 1974 super outbreak produced 148 tornadoes in only 18 hours, stretching from the Deep South all the way to the Great Lakes. Now, what makes this event so extraordinary is the intensity. An incredible 30 tornadoes were rated F4 or F5, some staying on the ground for more than 50 miles. In Indiana, entire communities were flattened as multiple tornadoes tore through the state in rapid succession. And in Ohio, the city of Xenia was devastated. Homes, schools, and businesses nearly wiped off the map in minutes. Altogether, nearly 330 people were killed and thousands more were injured. But this outbreak also changed meteorology forever. It exposed critical gaps in warnings and communication, but it led to major advancements in tornado forecasting, storm spotter networks, and eventually Doppler radar. So today, when severe weather strikes, the systems that help keep us safe, they were built on lessons learned from those devastating 18 hours in 1974.
And finally today, let's check out some new video here into us at 10 TV. First up, going back to that heat wave in Europe, animals at a zoo in Rome were given frozen treats to help them cool off as the Italian capital sizzled in a scorching heat wave on Friday. Italy's Ministry of Health has issued a red alert, the highest level of heat warning, as temperatures were expected to reach 36 to 37 degrees Celsius, which over here in Fahrenheit, it's 96.8 to 98 degrees over several days, posing serious health risks to humans and animals alike.
Yeah, I mean, that's, one way to at least keep the animals cool, and zookeepers distributed the ice, fruit and vegetables to giraffes, hippos, seals, and many other species hosted in the zoo, as well as frozen meat or fish. And heat levels could actually be lethal to some of the zoo animals if steps are not taken to keep them cool. But yeah, just wild to see how hot the temperatures are getting in parts of Europe. But of course, we got the heat coming our way here next week.
Oh yeah. Honestly, if they need any volunteers to go and feed them.
Feed the animals, yeah.
Frozen fruits, call me.
Sign us up.
You know where to find me. And to wrap up some more today, some more lighthearted animal news. Over 100 dachshunds, yes, raced against each other in the Dackel Open in Germany last Sunday.
Oh, look at that. See them go here. Are they going to go? Oh. At some point, they're going to go. The sausage dogs ran down several lanes. There they go on a golf course while their owners lured them with their favorite toys or treats. Other breeds were also welcome to join, but only to watch. But just so fun to watch them running around there.
I feel like I would feel left out. Right?
Yeah, just having a dog there. Actually, we had on the show yesterday. During one of the newscasts is the corgi run.
Yes,
yeah, the corgi.
I saw the corgis.
Yeah, it was like, it's always fun to see the dogs running around just having a good time. Look at that.
Perfect. Well, over here back in central Ohio for our weather, we've got some rain coming in later tonight, but for the most part, we're really keeping an eye on that heat wave coming next week.
Yeah, I mean, the rain showers, of course, keeping our temperatures a little bit cooler here today and tomorrow. We got upper 70s in the forecast, but as soon as Sunday hits, I mean, we're up to 86 the forecast high, a lot of sunshine, and then near 90 Monday. We got mid 90s Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's likely going to continue into Friday of next week, and the heat index being over 100. So yeah. Toasty.
It's going to be warm. It's going to be warm. But we're keeping an eye, and Aaron will be here tonight for 4, 5, 6, and 11 o'clock, tracking everything you need to know for what's coming tonight.
So until then, you can catch more news and weather online at 10tv.com.